In Psalms 55, verse 22, it says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous fall." Now, some translations may have burdens, cast your burdens on the Lord. But cares and burdens, I think sometimes we have a tendency to distinguish between cares and burdens. Burdens seem so great. There's a lot of weight to it. Cares just seem like it's, well, they're not that big a deal.
Happens to be exactly what this song's about.
Yep.
If you have a burden, if you have a care.
Yep. In 1 Peter 5, verse 7, it says, "Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you." Here lately, I've had quite a bit of burden and cares and things weighing down on me with building a house and financial, and of course then you put in the holiday seasons and all that goes on with that. I think a lot of times we have a tendency to want to carry those burdens, and it tells us we need to cast them away. Well, I try to do my best on those heavy ones. But what about the cares, those light ones that we think, we don't want to bother God with them. We can handle those. Those are easy. But in either verse there, it says what? Cast them. Now, probably everybody in here knows what fishing is about. When you cast, there's a purpose. You have a place that you're going to cast, you put effort into it, and it's going to end up where it needs to be, hopefully. I don't think we have that tendency when we say, "Oh, I'm gonna put my burdens on God, and He can handle it." Are we really doing that? Are we really making a conscientious effort to absolutely cast them away from us and onto Him? Because I think too many times we have a tendency, well, I'm going to let God handle it today. And then we get up the next morning and we still feel that burden on us. And it's still weighting us down. And when we're being weighted down by these burdens and cares and that, a lot of times we go to something that was going to help us sustain ourselves. Now in the world, a lot of people will go to smoking, drugs, drinking. We're Christians. We shouldn't do that, should we? Sometimes we fail. But a lot of times we will go to something that doesn't seem quite as bad. Like eating. That's one of my failures right there. When I get weighted down, food tastes so good, and you just want to eat more of it, more of it, more of it. And it's almost like I'm saying, a drug or a drink or an addiction. Because it seems to help me get through that weighty experience of having those burdens. But that's not the answer. He tells us what it is. Cast them on me. Cast them on me. Let me take care of them. Too many times we will succumb to those things that, when we get down or upset, and we'll turn to those other things that make us feel better about ourselves. That's the heavy ones. But what about the light ones? Some of the cares. Do you ever have anything that distracts you when you're praying? In your quiet time? those are cares we need to cast also on God. Those little things that we think, that's not a big deal. I just need to concentrate more. I just need to put my head into it a little more. Those things will probably affect us more because we don't really think that they're that much of a burden. They're not that big of a deal. But if they distract us from our prayer life, from our relationships with our other brothers and sisters, with our spouses, with our children, if they distract us from doing what needs to be done, then we should consider them a burden. Not just simply a care. Because they are going to become a burden if we let them. God cares about every one of us and what we're going through. And I know there's times when we think, where is he? Where is he? I'm struggling. Where is he at? He's only a call away. It's just if we are willing to call upon him. We're so important to him that in Luke chapter 12, verse 7, it says, "Indeed, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Don't be afraid, you are worth more than many sparrows." We're worth so much to him that he knows every hair on our head. He doesn't have to worry as much with me because I don't have as many on my head as I used to, but he knows us intimately. He knows what we're going through. He knows everything that we handle each day. That's a good way to put it. I handle a lot every day. Why? Why should I handle so much? Why should I take care of so many things? God is going to take care of me if I let him. And yet, I think I need to do it. I'm one of those guys that, hey, if it needs to be done, I'm going to do it. But you know what? If I don't, God is still going to work it out. He's still going to work it out for us. Because we are more important to him than anything else. We were created by him. He sent his son to die for us. Even though we have sin in our life, even though we're as filthy rags, he still sent his son for us so that we would have an opportunity to have salvation through his son's blood. So we are important to him. And he tells us it's important that we cast our burdens upon him. That we cast all of those thoughts, those things that get in the way of our walk with him. We've been looking at these Philip and Andrew and Nathaniel and all that, and they started out just like we. They were babes in Christ. They heard the good news. They made a decision. Come and see. If they would have known all that was going to happen to them, it would have been impossible for them. But that's the reason that God has made this the way he has, is that he makes us as children, and yet we mature. And we can handle these things as we go along. If we knew of everything that was going to happen to us before we became a Christian, would we become a Christian? If we knew of all the heartaches and the troubles, would Peter have known If he'd have known what he was going through, Paul, would he have? John the Baptist, if he known he was going to have his head cut off, would he say, sure, I'll follow? No, I don't think so. But it's being mature and becoming more mature each day that equips us for all of this. And this is just one point of maturity, is being able to cast those burdens upon God. There's many others. But this is the one that I seem to struggle with a lot. And I know that in order to become more mature, to be able to handle the more things that come my way, I need to handle this. And for some people, it's simple. It's like, wow, how do they do it? How do they just, I always tell Jill, que sera, sera, everything's great. No, it's not necessarily great. They just handle it differently. I don't handle it the same way as other people do. It's a struggle. But yet, no matter how tough the struggle is, we still need to do what he tells us. Cast your burdens upon him. He will sustain you. He will lift you up. Get rid of those anxieties. Those are the things that will pull us down. That's what Satan wants. Put a little doubt in their mind. If you put a little doubt in there, put a little bit more burden upon them, they'll go down. And yes, we will. We will go down if we listen to Satan. But if we listen to God and his word, it says in Psalms, he will sustain us. He will lift us up. I hope that helped you as much as it's helped me. I need to work on it every day in order to let that sink into me. If there's anyone here that needs to make a decision tonight to follow Christ in scriptural baptism, or if you just have a need, a prayer need of any kind, let that be known as we stand in our closing song.